completed their assessment and shared the results with the contest master. The winners will be announced beginning with third place. As a reminder, each contestant selects their own speech topics. Some of the content may be personal in nature and contain language, ideas, or beliefs that some audiences may consider sensitive. Ladies and gentlemen, it is contest time. Kathy, has the contest master rejoined the room yet? There you are. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege and pleasure to introduce our contest master for the evening, the amazing Patty Pick-Franke.
Thank you, Mark. It's my pleasure to be your contest host today. And may I remind you, Toastmasters is an opportunity to make mistakes and learn in a supportive environment. So if I mess up anything, I hope you'll laugh along with me. We have some great speakers tonight. I've had the pleasure of witnessing a couple of them when they were in their division contests. Okay.
Madam Contest Master, I am checking and it looks like they are wrapping up and should be here soon.
Okay, great. Fantastic.
Everyone, just as a point of order, the recording stop, recording start you just heard was to switch the recording from recording to an individual computer, which we did for Linda Marie's presentation. And we are now recording to the district cloud, so we don't have to risk losing this one anywhere. That was why we stopped and started, in case anybody has that question.
Thank you, Scott, for sharing that information. I was kind of wondering that myself.
I'm not going to lose it.
All right. Well, we should be able to get along with this show shortly. Are you ready to laugh? Wave your hands if you're ready to laugh. Woohoo! I know I am. What better to do on a Friday night than to laugh? Always a good thing. I would also like to remind everybody that during the contest, please refrain from using the chat. All the contestants have been briefed. And when the judges are done with their briefing, I will announce the order of the speeches tonight, and then we'll get started. I'm willing to guess that our speakers will be looking for your reactions to their humor, so it would be great to keep your video on, even if you had a bad hair day. Okay. It's my understanding that the breakout rooms have been closed. So again, I want to welcome everybody. Make sure that all of your microphones are muted, with the exception of the speaker. Chief Judge Adele, have all the judges been briefed and are ready to begin?
Yes, Madam Contest Master, they've all been briefed.
Okay, perfect. And the contestants have all been briefed as well. Today, our speaking order will be, oh, here it is. It's my understanding that one of the contestants scheduled for this speech contest is not currently here. I just want to verify that. Is Adrienne Alicia, is she here? Okay. Then the speaking order today will be Paul Erway will go first, Cheri Hampton-Farmer, Randy Goodin, Marti Rowan, Ed Basquil, and then Graham Honaker. All right, timer. Can you please raise your hand? Perfect. And can you show us what the contestants will see at the various times, please? Paul, do you have the view of the screen that you desire? Ready to go? Can you answer in the affirmative so I can hear your voice?
Yes.
Okay. And can you see the timer?
Yes.
And are you ready to go?
Yes.
All right. Our first speaker is Paul Erway, Ralph Solomon Schremberger III. Ralph Solomon Schremberger III, Paul Erway.
The picture that's on the wall, guests wonder, what is that doing there? As they enter the bingo hall and the fire hall of my hometown, my small hometown, one of those where the caboose is by the post office, to remind everybody not to criticize the services of others' small town. Madam Contest Master, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, my father, that horse trader, diplomat, and entrepreneur, had this idea of having a petting zoo beside our dairy store, which also had the produce market, bakery, and the 21 flavors of Perry's ice cream. So when he mentioned to us siblings that he was getting a young buffalo, we all assumed that it's for this project. And so we had a few days to come up with a name. So my siblings came up with the name of Ralph Solomon Schremberger III. And the day he was being delivered, my father decided to have him delivered to our home because behind the house was the small barn for our 5 horses. But there's also the 16 acres of pasture for the buffalo to roam. So as the truck is backing up to the gate, I jump the fence and I position myself 50 feet into the pasture, a little bit to the right, so that when the young buffalo comes strolling off the truck, I hope he comes to me because I want to be his best friend. So then I start to hear heavy footsteps in that truck, the hooves, and the truck starts rocking a little bit. And I'm wondering, did they send the mother buffalo along too? All of a sudden, the rear ramp drops down. The noise becomes huge. This gargantuan brown fur with 8-inch horns comes charging off that truck. My brothers said that I totally froze. But no, I was praying, please don't come to me. You don't look friendly. Luckily, our youngest horse, Colt, comes trotting up to see what this is, catching the eyes of the buffalo, allowing me to jump 50 feet back out of the pasture. But my siblings thought for sure I was running to the house to clean the back of my pants. The first trail ride that we took with all 5 horses, we're about half a mile up the trail. I'm on Colt. And all of a sudden the 4 horses take off and mine, Colt, starts turning around, and then I hear that noise again. And I turn around and look, and here's that gargantuan brown fur with 8-inch horns charging up the trail behind us. That is when we found out that the buffalo misses the horses, but also he can jump the fence at any time he wants. Do you remember that skunk on Saturday Comics, Pepe Le Pew? How he had that little boing, boing where the front feet bounce at the same time as the back? That's the lope of a buffalo. That boing, boing, boing. And he can jump the fence like a professional horse jumper. Also, he likes to scratch his furry head, and he scratches it on a post. And once in a while, he catches those horns in the fence, lifts the post out of the ground like a toothpick. He drops it, he comes back to the horses. The horses see the gate, the fence down, and they charge out of there faster than the starting gates of Churchill Downs. But the buffalo is now in tow, terrorizing that small town. They say the grass is greener on the other side of the fence. Our neighbor has a well-manicured lawn, very luscious green. The buffalo jumps over to taste this green grass, and he puts big divots in the lawn. Our neighbor hates that we have a buffalo, so he sues us. The up-and-coming lawyer finds out that this would be the first court case in Pennsylvania that involved a buffalo. So he said he'd represent my father for free. But this became a publicity stunt because my father, as part of the plea bargain, donated the buffalo to the fire department to have a buffalo roast. That town sold so many tickets, that county, the word got out. They sold so many tickets that only my family and the meat processor knew that my father actually donated a second cow to fill those orders. And you're probably saying, why would your father donate a second cow? But let me ask you, where do you think they got the juice? Where do you think they got the vegetables? Where do you think they got the rolls and the 21 flavors of Perry's ice cream? My father, that horse trader, diplomat, and entrepreneur. And so the people of county might come in that fire hall and they look up to see a picture that's much larger than this and think, oh, he gave his life to this community to be the greatest fundraiser ever for the fire department. But you have to excuse my smile. As you know, the rest of the story, he was also a great fundraiser for our family, that Ralph Solomon Schrumberger III. Miss Contest Master.
Now we'll have 1 minute of silence for the judges. Okay, our next speaker is Cheri Hampton-Farmer. Can you please spotlight our next speaker? Cheri, do you have the view that you want to see on your screen?
Yes, I do.
Great. Can
And
you,
Patty, it's Cheri Hampton-Farmer.
oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Can you see the timer?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. Are you ready to begin?
I am ready.
Cheri Hampton Farmer, words matter. Words matter. Cheri Hampton Farmer.
Thank you, contest master, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. Have you ever had someone talk you into doing something you had never planned to do? You might have even told yourself, I could never do that. They came along and disarmed you with their strongest weapon, their words. You see, words matter. Just like the cartoon character Popeye, who gained strength just from eating spinach. Words can strengthen us with confidence and power. On the other hand, words can debilitate us. About 6 months ago, my daughter approached me and said, Mom, let's run the Disney Princess Half Marathon. Those words have impacted my life ever since. The first thing I heard was, Mom, let's do something together. Well, this meant taking a trip together. It meant making memories together. It meant achieving a goal together we could talk about for a lifetime. These all seemed to be positive. She had me at, Mom, let's. That was her hook. The second thing I heard was run a half marathon. Now, running a half of a marathon didn't seem like a bad idea at the time. About 10 years ago, I had run a full marathon, but I had momentarily forgotten about all the weekends I'd have to give up for those long runs, the aching muscles, the sore feet, and especially the missing toenails. It was several months before I could get a pedicure. No one wants to give you a pedicure with missing toenails. Now, I knew that I would have to work back up to running long distances again, but I convinced myself that running half of a marathon would be much easier than running a full marathon. The third thing I heard was Princess Half Marathon. Now, I'll admit, I was excited about designing a princess costume I could run in. I was looking forward to taking selfies with all the Disney characters along the way. But as I began to tell people about the race, I heard myself saying, I'm running the Disney Princess Half Marathon. Oh, I know it's not a serious race, but I'm running it with my daughter, and we're checking off a bucket list item. The word princess mattered. One of the reasons it mattered is because I find this whole princess culture problematic. I would rather teach our young women that they're strong and capable of overcoming challenges with their words and intellect than assume they're damsels in distress who need to be rescued. But even Disney is redefining a princess as someone who can let it go and who is quite capable of ruling an entire kingdom. The word princess mattered because of the way I was defining it. I thought of a princess as someone who is dainty, never gets dirty, and someone whose hair is always perfectly coiffed. Training for a princess half marathon is no different than training for any other half marathon. You get sweaty, you get dirty, and your hair is never perfectly coiffed. In fact, after running 11, 12, and 13 miles, I look nothing like a princess and more like one of the ugly stepsisters. I began to change my definition of princess as I thought about the discipline and the training required to run the race. I began to see these princess runners as mighty warriors who were strong in character and who also used their words to empower other people. In fact, near the end of the race, I got a pep talk from Rapunzel, who ran alongside me and said, "Come on, Cinderella, you're almost there." The words we tell ourselves matter. The words others tell us matter also. My friend Jeanette is responsible for allowing me to even think that I could run a half marathon. In fact, she's responsible for talking me into doing a number of things with her words. She described her experience of running her first half marathon and talked about the cheering crowds and what it felt like to hold that coveted medal she had earned. And she even described the training as fairly easy. I caught her excitement and admitted, I've always wanted to run a half marathon. With no hesitation and buckets full of confidence, she looked at me and said, "Oh, Cheri, you could do that." Now, the words in my head had always been, "You don't have time to train. That's way too many miles. You are way too old for that." I was giving my words a great deal of power until Jeanette's words gave me a new perspective. Words matter, especially the words we tell ourselves. A few months ago, I ran the Disney Princess Half Marathon with my daughter, wearing a modified Cinderella costume. You see, even before she became a princess, she was strong of character. She was kind to other people, and she had a positive influence on everyone around her. I believe she had that fairy tale ending and lived happily ever after because she used her position to empower those around her with her words. Your words matter. Make them count. Contest Master.
We'll have 1 minute of silence for the judges. Our next speaker is Randy Goodin. Randy, do you have the view that you want to see on your screen?
Yes,
Can you see the timer?
I can.
Are you ready to begin?
I am.
Randy Goodin, Toast Master Judging. Toast Master Judging, Randy Goodin.
Madam Contest Master, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests, good evening. It is such an honor to be speaking before you in this competition this evening. And I want to share with you a little bit about what I know about Toastmaster judging, just in case you ever have to be a judge in one of these competitions. I'm from a little town called Hock and Holler down in Kentucky. It's between a holler on the left and a holler on the right, one up front, one in the back. We're just surrounded by hollers, and everybody's always a hollering. We don't have a lot going on there, so it leads sometimes to experimentation. Sometimes it doesn't always wind up the best, and we have relatives that we ain't going to see for a long time, but that's okay. Sometimes it leads to some interesting things, and it winds up being something that's very beneficial to the neighborhood, to the state, and to America as a whole. And that's what I want to talk about tonight. Back about 1964, my Grammy, who was trying to make things stretch as far as she could, because my grandpa was a sharecropper and we didn't have much, and she was raising 9 youngins on a very, 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 very slim budget. That fella earlier that had that buffalo, I'd like to have that thing sometime. They really had to make things stretch. So Grammy would often do what is now become known as reduce, reuse, and recycle. She would reduce the waste because she would reuse it the next day. Leftovers to most people are something that's kind of new in areas. For us, it was just something that was common. And she would recycle. The peas you had on Monday would wind up in the vegetable soup on Thursday. And Grammy always had a way to make things stretch, including day-old bread. We never threw anything away. But Grammy was always trying to figure out what to do with that bread because it would get stale and it just wasn't no good. So one day, Grammy just had an idea. Grandpa had left his frog gigging sticks out by the fireplace, and Grammy had sliced off some bread and it was starting to get stale. And she thought, you know what? I bet if I put that on one of them frog gigging sticks, I could create something here. That was the beginning of toast and hock and holler. My Grammy made the first piece of toast and hock and holler, and she did it over and over and over from there until she perfected her toast making ways, and my Grammy became the first toast master of hock and holler. Now, what that led to is Grammy had to train everybody that lived in hock and holler and the other hollers that surrounded us. So she taught Jenny, Jeff, Joe, Josephine up the back. But what happens is when you do that, and I'm sure you've seen this where you live, by doing that, everybody thinks he's better than everybody else. So we wind up with competitions. Hence our first Toastmaster competition at the Hock and Holler Fall Festival. Well, the first one didn't go so well because we didn't have any judging criteria and everybody thought they won and we didn't have any winner. So the next year, we decided we was going to have some judging standards, and I want to share those with you now. My Grammy came up with these after scientific experimentation of holding the bread over the fire for so long and figuring out how dark to get things. So here is a judging criteria that we use when we is judging the Toastmaster competition down in Hock and Holler. This here is where we start. This here is what y'all know is just plain old light bread or white bread, whatever you can call it where it is. This is where you start. This is not where you want to end up. That's the first category you don't want to be in. Then we move into those people that think they got it figured out and they give you the basic bread. This thing here, it ain't toast. You barely even lighten or darken that thing. I'm sorry. We don't consider this toast, and this is a failure category down in our Toastmaster competition. This is a category we call angry bread. Why is it angry? You almost got it to toast, but it's just not quite there. This is another category that will get you a failure in our Toastmaster competition. And then we have the gold standard. This is what we're looking for. Nice brown color in there to get you in. This is what we consider a perfect toast over an open fire. This is where you want to be. Then we move into the next one. This is Mama's mad bread. You don't want to be here. And some people say, well, why is Mama mad? You took what was a perfectly good piece of toast and you burnt the rascal up. She don't like that. Mama's mad. This is not a category you want to be in. And the very last judging criteria is what we call the house stinker. This thing here, if you get a house stinker, you know it, and you do not want to bring this to a competition. We use all of these to judge our Toastmaster competitions down in Hock and Holler. Now, we've had some people over the years tried to be real sneaky. We had one feller come in with a British accent and said he had a fancy round toast. We later disqualified him. We found out that was an English muffin. We'd never seen one. We didn't know what it was. That will not work in a Toastmaster competition. And then Fred down the holler thought he would be a wise guy one time, and he brought us what he called a spotted beagle. Now that was no hound dog. We come later to find out that that was actually a raisin bagel. But again, we'd never seen one. But just so you know, if they show up in your Toastmaster competition, those are disqualified. You got to stick with the toast. Now I told you how Grammy come up with this. I told you a little bit about her history, how she practiced with the frog gig over the open fire till she perfected this, how she taught the others, our standard that we use. And you may say, well, why is he telling me all this? Because I'm sure the rest of you, just like the rest of us, are world travelers. Yes, we are. I got to Louisville one time. It like scared me to death. But as you travel the world, if you should find yourself lost in a place like Hock and Holler, you will know how to judge a county fair Toastmaster competition, Madam Contest Master.
And we'll have 1 minute of silence, please, for the judges.
You're on mute, Patty.
The next contestant is Marti Rowan. Can you please bring Marti Rowan to the stage? Marti, do you have the view that you want to see on your screen?
I do, yes, thank you.
Can you see the timer?
Yes, I can.
Are you ready to begin?
Yes, I am.
Marti Rowan, what can a name get you? What can a name get you? Marti Rowan.
Good evening, everyone. For those of you who are parents out there, think back with me, if you will, to when you first learned that you were expecting. There were lists that you made, things to do, car seats to buy, cribs to put together. One of the most fun things to do, though, was to pick out the baby's name. Some expectant parents will turn to baby name books or online directories these days, looking for just the right name. They want something unique, something nobody else has. My parents, not the least bit concerned with a unique name. No, I come from a long line of family namers. In fact, I have a cousin that has a 4 after his name. My mom would always say, even if dad's name is Hector, the firstborn son should be named after dad. Well, my apologies if there's any Hectors out in the audience. My oldest brother, therefore, is William Darty Sprigg Jr. My next brother was Thomas Albert, named for our grandfathers. Thomas from mom's dad, Albert from my dad's dad. Within a space of 16 months, mom has 2 boys, and now she wants a girl to complete the family. It would be 8 years before I came along. And in those 8 years, the penchant for family names did not change. So when they learned they were expecting again, they quickly settled on using grandmother's names. I would be Susan from my mom's mom, Ethel from my dad's mom, Susan Ethel. Now I know what you're thinking. You're reading the name. Your name isn't Susan or even Ethel for all we know. No, it's not. You see, my grandmother Ethel had other ideas. She wanted a namesake. She wanted me to be named after her and only her. She wanted me to be named Ethel Arnold Sprigg. And she lobbied hard for me to have that name. All during mom's pregnancy, she just kept after them. You should name the baby after me. You should name the baby after me. And my mom and dad would push back and they would say, we can't do that. We can't leave out her other grandmother. That wouldn't be fair. Well, finally, my grandmother Ethel got so upset. She said, if I can't have the whole name, I don't want any of it. Don't use my name at all. Well, my mom was just so upset that her mother-in-law was upset with her. And she would cry, oh, Bill, what are we gonna do if it's a girl? And my dad would say, don't worry, we'll figure something out. It'll be fine. Now, you might be able to tell from the gray that I am of a certain age, that my parents didn't know if they were having a boy or a girl until I was born. And having a boy would have allowed them to sidestep this whole problem. But mom really wanted a girl to complete the family. After 16 hours of labor, she delivers a girl and she's thrilled. The family's complete. And mom is so over the moon happy until the nurse says, what are you going to name her? And all those conversations with her mother-in-law come back and she says, oh, Bill, what are we going to do? And my dad says, we're going to name her after her mother. And so that's how I became Martha Louise. Everyone seemed happy with Dad's compromise, at least for a while anyway. One day when I was about 10 years old, I was playing cards with my grandmother Ethel, and I happened to notice her beautiful platinum filigree diamond engagement ring, and I complimented her on it. And she says, this could have been yours if you'd been named after me. In fact, all of my jewelry, my furs, it all could have been yours. Well, I did the math in my head really fast and I thought, jewelry, going through life named Ethel. Nah, no thank you. When I got home and I told mom about that conversation, I said, I'm really glad that you landed on naming me Martha Louise. Ethel didn't give me a ring, but she did give me many other gifts, and among them, most was her time. She tried to teach me how to knit and crochet, and at 12 years old, I wasn't interested in that. I was more interested in hanging with my friends, but in recent years, I have picked up knitting. I made this beautiful scarf and crochet. And funny enough, I even picked up her favorite hobby of fishing. Don't worry, I'm not going to pick up a fish. As I mentioned, mom wanted a girl to complete the family. She had that and she thought, we're done. Lo and behold, God had other plans. Surprise, 4 years later, another boy comes along. And this time, mom used her grandfather's name. So my younger brother was named Murray. Let me tell you though, what they were going to name that baby if it had been a girl. Heather. So realistically, folks, but now walk through this with me. I would have been Ethel Arnold with a sister named Heather. Now, if anyone out there can explain to me how that would have been in any way fair, I am all ears. So now you know what a name can almost get you, or not. Back to you, contest master.
Let's have 1 minute of silence for the judges.
You're muted, Patty.
Speaker is Ed Basquil. Can you please spotlight Ed, please? Ed, do you have the view of the camera that you want?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you see the timer?
Yes, I can.
Are you ready to begin?
Ready.
Ed Basquil, blindsided, blindsided, Ed Basquil.
I have been leading in the utility business for over 20 years. When a problem can't be handled by normal channels, it comes to me. Some of the complaints I've heard make me question our future as a species. I mean, here's what I mean. I spoke to a customer who complained about the water company spraying our water all around and messing up people's yards. It was 1997. I explained to her she lived 100 feet from the Ohio River, which was well past flood stage in the largest flood since 1937. She told me, "You better get your act together." I said, "Yes, ma'am." "I'm sorry you're having trouble with all of this water, ma'am." Another guy was offended. He was really upset. I was on the phone with him. He wanted to know why he didn't have electricity or water pressure. I asked him, "Sir, please check again." Sure enough, he had it now. I explained there had been a power outage and it had taken 7 seconds for our emergency switches to operate. He asked me, "Am I getting a refund for those 7 seconds?" I got a call from someone who had a complaint about their drinking water. I tried to explain to them at this point I was heading up a sewer utility. We only deal with the water you can't drink. He didn't care for my dodging the question. He wanted answers. Another customer complained that her water had this big problem. Her water wasn't getting hot. I ended up going by her house and showing her that she had a hot water heater and that it wasn't working. She was surprised, but she was also a little suspicious. I mean, was I a stalker? How did I know she had a hot water heater? Had I been to her house before? Well, it's okay to laugh. I mean, I know I did. Sometimes my job is changing the customer, educating them, calming them, guiding them back to reality. A few years ago, a customer changed me. An older lady had complained that our drinking water was making her sick. So I went to see her in her house. She greeted me warmly. I mean, really warmly. I thought this was going to be an adversarial situation. The lady was so pleasant. I reminded her who I was and why I was there. We sat down at her dining room table and ate chocolate bundt cake, freshly baked, homemade. I complimented her house and decorations. She asked me questions, not about the water, but like about me. The lady bragged about her son, who was my age. He had moved away. He never visited. She showed me her other bills. She had a pile of bills that she wanted to go through with me. She had spent a small fortune on late night infomercial products to improve her air and water. This was her proof that it had to be our water that was making her sick. And I tried, I tried to tell her what a waste of money these late night products were. She told me to come again. We had more to talk about. Hey, let her know what I wanted to eat. She'd make me something special. She wrapped up the leftovers for me in aluminum foil. Minutes later, I was sitting in my car with tears I didn't understand. Maybe I was crying about her son. How could this son, this louse, not visit? If I had a mother like that, I thought. Then I realized why I was crying. You see, my mom had a chat with the utility worker too. I was in the first grade. I wasn't doing so hot in school. I got in fights. She had dragged me down the street over to where some men were working in a hole in the street on underground utilities. She's smoking her cigarette. Dragged me down the street. Says, and she went to the worker and pointed to him and said, "You're going to be a bum just like him." And she flicked her cigarette at him. "A ditch digger." The man stopped working and looked up, his brow furrowed, and looked like he was angry, but then it softened. He was just, confused. You see, he didn't understand. I mean, violence was the solution to every problem in my house. This was my mom's idea of great parenting, scaring me straight. He didn't yell back. He didn't say anything. He just gave me such a kind, sympathetic look. I'll never forget it. I sat in my company car eating cake, crying unexpected tears, blindsided by guilt at all the times I had laughed at confused customers. Blindsided by realizing that I wanted that sweet old lady to be my mom. Angry at her actual son, who she bragged about, but who didn't visit. I was also blindsided that I was laughing and crying at the same time. I was laughing at the fact that in a weird twist of fate, my mom's rage parenting had worked and her prophecy had come true. I was indeed a utility worker, just like she said I would be, a ditch digger. I spent my whole career in the utilities. Just like that man she had flicked her cigarette at. I was a ditch digger, but I was a ditch digger who understood that what matters in life is not your title. It's not how much you know, but what's in your heart and how you treat people. Thank you, Contest Master.
Let's have 1 minute of silence for the judges. Our next speaker is Graham Honaker. Graham, do you have the view that you want to have?
I do.
Excellent. Can you see the timer?
I can.
Are you ready to begin?
I'm ready.
Graham Honaker, shipwrecked, Graham Honaker.
Madam Contest Master, fellow Toastmasters, and honored guest, 2019 was a really difficult year. And this was the year before the pandemic. I had worked really hard. I had traveled all over the country. My kids, as usual, were driving me crazy. I needed a family vacation. Now, the problem with family vacations is you actually have to bring your families with you. But nonetheless, I still had a vision. I had a vision of what that perfect vacation could be. I saw the sun. I saw the ocean. I saw myself drinking from a pina colada. I saw myself coming back with a golden bronze tan. Well, maybe not a guy like me. And then one day it came. It came in the mail. An invitation for a Disney cruise line. This was perfect. The magic kingdom on the open seas. What could be better? And so I opened my wallet really wide, and I paid for a 1 week's vacation in the Caribbean. And let me tell you, it was the worst experience of my life. And I want to tell you, as my friends plead with you, never, ever go on a Disney cruise in your life. And there are 3 reasons why. The first reason, the people. Folks, we have a major overpopulation problem in this world. We have 7 billion people. And the good thing about going on a Disney cruise is it offered a new view of a new form of birth control. Because after being around kids 24/7, you're never going to want to have kids nor be around them ever again. It's a small world, all right. And I quickly realized I wanted no part of that world. There was the crying, the whining, the screaming. And that was from the parents having to deal with these brats. Now, folks, if you are foolish enough to go on one of these cruises, pay attention to the safety instructions. You know those things we don't care about when we get on airplanes? You want to know where the life vest is, where that life raft is, because about 20 minutes in, you want to get off that cruise. Trust me. Another issue is this. The Wi-Fi on these cruises is very spotty, the Wi-Fi for your phones. So you have little kids running around, upset, not because they haven't met Mickey Mouse yet, but because they haven't been able to check TikTok and Facebook in the last 10 minutes. It's even a problem for adults. You have adults who have to go out to romantic dinners and who actually have to look at each other and speak to each other rather than play with their phones. And when my kids misbehaved, which was early and often, I couldn't just give them an iPad and tell them to go away. Now, the second issue is this, the finances. You know, they say Disney's the happiest place on earth. And it is. If your last name is Disney and you're a descendant of Walt and getting a cut of the proceeds, it's the magic kingdom, all right, because just like that, your money's gone. Now, if you are crazy enough, again, to go on one of these cruises before you leave, invest in these, okay? You're not going to be eating at St. Elmo for the next year. Ramen noodles and Campbell's soup, that's what you got. Now, look, there is a way to get Wi-Fi in these cruises, but you've got to pay about $20 an hour to get it. So I did decide to buy it because I wanted to give my kids away and get my iPad and tell them to get out of here. $20 a minute. Halfway through the cruise, my credit card company called and said, "You're over your limit." So the 10 minutes I spent on the phone with them cost me another $200. And the things we take for granted, my fellow Toastmasters, things like sunscreen. These cost $5 at your local CVS. They're about $30 on a Disney cruise. Now take a look at me. Even through the Zoom screen, I'm whiter than Casper the Ghost. I was going through these like crazy and burning a hole in my pocket. They said that Blackbeard was the greatest pirate baron of all time. He's got nothing on Walt Disney. Now, the third problem is this, the illnesses you're bound to occur. You're going to get seasick, and in more ways than one. On the last day, when you check out, they give you your final bill. And when I looked at mine, I got so dizzy, I had vertigo. I had motion sickness just from seeing my credit card swiped back and forth over and over again the entire time. I had nausea upon the realization that I could have made 3 mortgage payments for the cost of that cruise. I had gangrene every single day. My family was ganging up on me, trying to get my green. I was constantly hung over that ship, waving a white flag, hoping somebody would rescue me. And I had joint pain all over. I was completely broke. Now, I did learn some very valuable lessons from the Disney cruise. And interestingly, they all coincided with a Disney film, a Disney movie. The first one, The Lion King. After being around kids for one entire week, I realized why some animals eat their young. There was Toy Story. This was my story. All I did all week, buying toys for my children. There was Dumbo, a self-reflection I made of myself, feeling so stupid about investing in that cruise. There was Frozen. What happened to my credit card halfway through that cruise? There was Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. I wanted to shrink my kids and do a lot of other things to them that really aren't appropriate to say in this speech. There was The Parent Trap. No explanation needed. And finally, there was that one place I would have rather have been than to have been on that Disney cruise. 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Madam Contest Master.
Let's give the judges 1 minute of silence. But now it's time for contestant interviews. Let's bring up Paul Erway first, please. Hi, Paul.
Hello.
Could you please tell us, you are representing Division F. Could you please tell us the name of your club and the town that your club is in?
It is the Linden Toastmasters Club. And we also call ourselves the greatest Toastmasters club in the world. But it's near Louisville, Kentucky.
Was that part of your charter to be called the greatest Toastmaster club in the world?
Yeah, actually, we've hit it 9 times, 9 years in a row. So it is a good club, that's for sure.
Great. Now you have a very, very interesting accomplishment listed on your profile sheet. 50 marathons in 50 states and 50 weeks. Was that all done within 50 weeks straight, right in a row?
We failed. The 48th was on week 52, and it took us 4 tries to get Montana, but we finally got Montana, but it was like 6 months later. So it's not that we didn't try, but there's a lot of things about it. And again, and this is also, the 3 of us also are used wheelchairs, racing wheelchairs, and we're spinal cord injury. But I did this also while working full time. So it was a challenge. We had ups and downs, and Boston Marathon 2013, the bombing. You do the greatest marathon in the United States and you feel so great that you finished, and then the lows that people are killed, people are maimed. So that's, life changes so quickly for people. And that was a good example for us, but yeah. And again, we had to be back on a plane in 4 days to do the next.
That is amazing. Just very inspirational. I'm curious, how long did it take you to plan that out?
We got the idea in 2010 when we did the greatest marathon for wheelchairs in Oita, Japan. Because once you set one goal and you match it, you complete one challenge, you know you could do it, set the next one bigger, harder, and keep going.
So true. And kudos to you for the Toastmaster spirit of continuously pushing to challenge yourself and improve. I'm curious, what is next on your challenge list?
September 17th, 2023, 50 marathons, 50 states, but in 50 days at age 65.
Oh,
is that a challenge?
That's amazing. Let's give a big round of applause for Paul. Thank you, Paul. Could we please bring up Cheri, Hampton-Farmer to the stage? Cheri, you are representing Division B. Could you please tell us what club are you in and what town is that in?
It's the Wall Street Speakeasy Club in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Excellent. Excellent.
And we are the best
So we have now the world's greatest and the best. This sounds like a new competition. And I don't think we have any judges for that tonight, but we will work on it for the next one. I see here that you are most inspired in the still moments when you see the sunset or hear an impactful story thought to have little significance. Can you tell me more about that?
I just love nature. I like being in nature. Probably one of the reasons I like running so much. So I love that contrast with the busy day-to-day things that we have going on. And so I just like the stillness, that contrast. And I think the latter part of that, in talking about things that most people might overlook, I listen for people's stories all the time, and I just love finding those nuggets of things that other people might overlook, but I just think are incredible.
Thank you. That's so true. We tend to think that many things are not significant, but they definitely are. Very surprising. And I also love your quote. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit. That's beautiful.
Yes.
And what habits are you engaging in?
Well, trying to live a healthy life by exercising and eating proper food that's good for my body. Those are some of the things that I do on a regular basis. I also try to listen to things that are positive so that what comes out of my mouth is also positive and uplifting and empowering. So those are some of the habits that I follow. A lot of just ordinary habits that add up to things that have a large impact.
Excellent. And I hope that attending a Toastmaster meeting regularly is another one of those habits that you have.
Yes, it certainly is. Ours meets twice a month, so I try to attend both times.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Let's give a big round of applause for Cheri. And then our next speaker, Randy. Could you please tell us, I know you're representing Division E, what's the name of your club and where are they located?
I'll drop out of character. I go to Greater Greenwood Toastmasters in Greenwood.
Greater Greenwood Toastmasters in Greenwood.
Yes, ma'am.
And
We are greater.
I see that you love dancing. What kind of dancing do you do?
Oh, I do like to dance. I've taken ballroom lessons, so I like the salsa, rumba, waltz, that type of thing. And just if I'm out with friends, I just like to club dance, just have fun.
Can you give us a sample?
No. You have to come to one of the speeches because I have done speeches on dancing.
Excellent. Do you dance when you give a speech on dancing?
I do. Yeah. Sometimes
Okay.
I'll bring someone with me that knows how to do this. And all it is just to show the very basic movements. And that's what it's hard because it's really about your feet, foot placement and timing. And it's hard for you to see my feet right now. That's really the reason why. So yes, I try and bring someone either with me or I know enough of my club that I can ask one of them to do this with me. And we can just show the very basics just so you can get out there and do the very basics. That will get you out on the floor and having fun.
Well, folks, you've heard it. If you want to learn to dance, go to the Greater Greenwood. Did I get that?
Yeah, Greater Greenwood.
Greater Greenwood Toastmasters. Send me an invite. I'm all in.
Any Friday morning, 6:45.
Okay. And then your favorite quote is, those who say it cannot be done should just move out of the way of those who are dancing. No, that's not what it said.
I was going to say, I don't remember writing it like that.
It should move out of the way of those who are doing it.
Correct.
Yes.
And that's because many times in life, especially in my career, I like to take on the most difficult challenges. I've been told several times in projects that I've been assigned to that it can't be done. It literally cannot be done. I work in the cancer industry, and back when I worked with proton therapy, we were the first private company in the world to take proton centers live. And everybody, all of the universities, all of the other cancer centers were hedging their bets against us. And we showed them. We didn't do it once, we did it 4 times, and we did it faster than anybody had ever done it. And I keep repeating that even in what I do now.
That's very impressive. We're so glad to have you part of our contest. And
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And helping cancer. And it goes to everybody else too. Yes, let's give a big round of applause for Randy.
Thank you.
And next, let's hear from Marti. Hi, Marti.
Hi there,
Marti.
how are you?
Good. I don't have written down. What is your division, your name of your club, and what city is it in?
Division H.
Okay.
The name of our club is Toastmasters Club of Fishers, and we're in Fishers, Indiana.
Excellent. So you're not the world's best Fishers Toastmaster Club of Indiana?
I couldn't think of a superlative quick enough to top the others.
Excellent. Your favorite quote is, "Well, ain't this place a geographical oddity? 2 weeks from everywhere."
Yes, it is.
Tell me more.
Any other "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou" fans out there? That's what that's from.
Yeah. So what is going on in your 2 weeks from everywhere?
Oh gosh, it feels like the last 2 years of the pandemic have really messed with my sense of time. It feels like it was still 2019. I don't think 2020 or 21 happened yet. It's just really, time is going by a lot differently than it used to. Feels that way to me.
It's so true. You know, time is something that we made up, and it's too bad that we all can't make it up for ourselves individually. Because I know when I need something done, I always want it done a week ago yesterday.
Yes.
And what inspires you is love in action. Can you give us an example of love in action?
Oh gosh, I think that would probably be anything that my mother does. She really set the bar very high. She's very selfless and loving, and is a true servant leader. And I get to see that with her daily. Although I do want to share just one quick little thing. When I won the district contest, she said, "Oh, I got you a little something to celebrate." I said, "Oh, good." I love when she gets me things. I'm her favorite child, by the way. The only daughter, but I'm her favorite child. So I opened the gift and, okay, are y'all ready for this?
I thought you were going to flip it over and then it was going to say Marti.
No, see, I never had a name that you could find on a keychain anywhere, but yeah, so she thought this would be, she's funny.
The best next thing. That's awesome.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you so much again for participating, and let's give a big round of applause for Marti.
Thank you.
And next, we're going to bring up Ed. Hi, Ed.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Patty.
What division are you in? What's the name of your club, and where do you meet?
Let's see, we're in District 11. We're the Brick Street Toastmasters in Zionsville, and I'm not going to try and come up with a superlative, but I'm going to say we are the club that has the most fun. It's a real blast coming to one of our meetings, and you can join us online. And I think we've joined with your club a time or two, Patty. So
that's in fact true, and I can attest that your club is definitely fun. No doubt about it. So your favorite quote is lead me, follow me, or get out of my way. So what do you find yourself doing more, leading or following?
I would say leading, because my job at work, but I guess I do follow at home because, I'm married. And you try and lead, but it doesn't always work that way. A lot of guys out there nodding their heads this way. It's just like I don't lead in how you load the dishwasher. I always get an education on that, but an important part of leadership is following in the right times. So just making sure the smartest guy in the room's in charge, which oftentimes is my wife. So who's not a guy, by the way. I mean, smartest woman in the room.
That's an excellent point. A good part of leading is following the person in charge, and being trainable, right? So you say that you like writing. What kind of writing do you like to do?
Well, I got into writing because I do a lot of it for work. I guess I've had a couple articles published related to my career, but lately I've been writing fiction, nothing published, just working at it, learning the craft, learning how to do it. I've got an unpublished novel I finished that I'm working with someone in our club to help me turn into something someone else might want to read. But it's been helpful to me. It's been a good growth and learning experience doing it, even if no one ever reads it. So I enjoy it. If
nobody ever reads it, was it really written?
I think so. Yes, I think therefore I am. If a tree falls in the woods, did it really fall if no one was there to hear it? It's.
Yeah, very good. And what you are inspired by most is making a difference. Can you tell us more about that?
Well, just going back to what you just said, if no one ever reads it, is it really written? Well, I feel like I'd like to make a difference in the world, in the lives of my kids at work, and just like to feel I left my mark on the world and make things a little bit better than it was before I was here. So.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Ed. Let's give a big round of applause for Ed. And then we'll bring up Graham. Hi, Graham. Can you tell us what is your division and name of your club and where are they located?
I am with the Indie Free Speakers Club. I believe we're Division C. My friend Gil will correct me on that if I'm wrong. We meet at the John Boner Center over on the east side of town.
Okay, Indie Free Speakers. Is that a free Toastmasters club?
We are. We're free and we're open.
Excellent. So your interests and hobbies are running and reading. Do you read while you're running?
No, but I do find listening to an audiobook or a podcast is a relaxing way to run. Although if you run trails, I don't recommend that because it's very easy to hit a route as you're immersed in an audiobook. But on occasion, I will.
So do you think listening to an audiobook is more dangerous while you're running or driving?
Probably while you're driving, because usually when I'm running, I'm pretty much alone. When I'm driving, I'm with 1,000 other people in all different lanes that I may not trust.
All right. And your favorite quote is, "Happy the man who remains steadfast in trial." It sounds like you may have had some experience with trials. Are you a lawyer?
No, that's my favorite quote. We all go through difficult times in life, and how you mentally handle those, I think, really shows us what we're all about, what we're made of.
All right. And that relates to what inspires you most is overcoming adversity. to achieve and be successful. Graham, what is your definition of success?
My definition of success is going to bed at night, knowing during the day that you gave it everything you possibly had. And that goes true at the end of the week, at the end of the year, and someday for all of us way, way down the road, at the end of our lives, did we do the best? Did we become the best we could be? And that's my definition.
So I would say that's an excellent answer. And I was surprised that you didn't say winning the humorous speech contest. That could be a success. Well, thank you so much. Let's give Graham a big round of applause. And then if we could bring all of our speakers up, we'll ask them one question to everyone and see what your answers are. Can we get all of our speakers up on the screen, please?
All at the same time?
Yes.
I'm not sure how to do multiple spotlights.
Just keep spotlighting people.
Oh, okay. That's a newer feature than what I thought. I'll be happy to take care of that for you.
There we go. Still need Ed. We have everybody? Yep. Nope, we're missing one person. Where is Cheri? Is she on the screen? There we go. Now we have everybody. And Zoom Master, can you please take a picture, a photo op? We'll say 1, 2, 3, cheese, and then if you could take a picture for us. Are you ready, Zoom Master?
Ready? Smile pretty. 1, 2, 3. Looks good.
All right. This is the part that I'm always most interested in. Many times we're asked about why we joined Toastmasters, but I want to know what keeps you in Toastmasters. And Paul, we'll start with you. Go ahead and unmute, Paul.
Is our words can really affect somebody, really help them, encourage them. So I'm always working on trying to improve my speaking so that when I do talk to people, when I do presentations, that I can help change their life or help them, because my motto is the more people you can help, the more you'll be blessed.
Muted.
Cheri, we know that you think words matter. No doubt about that. But what keeps you in Toastmasters?
What keeps me in Toastmasters is the community that's built in the group that we have. I would like to say that it's all the things about Toastmasters, but this particular group has been very meaningful to me because I just joined about a year ago, and it was sort of on the end of COVID when people were starting to get back together again, and they have been extremely supportive. I have to say too, part of the reason I joined Toastmasters was because I wanted more feedback, and this particular group gives great feedback, very specific feedback. We did a round robin when many of us were competing this time around, and I received feedback from every single person in the group, and it was all very helpful, and I was able to make changes. So I would say the reason I stay is because of the wonderful people in my group.
Thank you, Cheri. People matter and their words. Randy, what keeps you coming back to Toastmasters?
Well, what keeps me coming back to Toastmasters is I try and use this as a learning platform and as a platform to talk about things that are difficult for people to grasp sometimes. I use this platform to motivate. I know this is a humorous contest, but I do motivational speaking. I've also used this to talk about health issues. I talk a lot about heart disease. I do talk about cancer treatments, and I use it as a platform to tell those guests and my club members about those things. Tell them to do your research, do your research, do your research. I cannot drive that home enough. So Toastmasters is a platform for me to share that, and it's something that I'm hoping as I age out and hit retirement that I can use to build a retirement income one day.
So I'm curious, since you really like to have your audience in Toastmasters to hear your topics, have you done the traveling Toastmaster on Zoom experience by going to multiple clubs all over the world?
I have not. The only other club I've visited is up the road from me. I'm trying to remember, they meet on Monday nights. Mark belongs to that club. That's the only one I've visited. I would like to do more. It's just been a challenge to just get out there. With COVID, when it hit, my company's business over quadrupled. So we're so busy, and it's just been very difficult to get out. I would love to do that. I didn't even know about that. But yeah, I would take that opportunity, especially since it's on a Zoom type platform and I could do everything from here.
Right. And there are clubs that meet early in the morning for people that are morning people, which I will never visit.
6:45 on a Friday. You can start your Friday and your weekend off great.
I'll have a proxy go and visit those clubs for me. Who's a morning person and will be a proxy for me?
And Marcy answered, it's Vineyard that I've been to.
Okay, excellent. Marti,
Yes.
please share with us what keeps you coming back to Toastmasters?
Well, I think I have to echo what Cheri said. It's definitely the community of friends now that I've made over the course of the last year and a half. I've joined to up my game for presentation skills and impromptu speaking. I feel like I've definitely done that. Would have never imagined myself in a contest before this, but it's definitely a great start. We meet early, Friday morning, 7 o'clock. And you're right, it does set the tone for the day. It really gets you sliding into the weekend really on a high note. So definitely the camaraderie and the spirit of the folks that are in the club.
Well, I'm going to be calling on you to be my proxy for those morning clubs. I hope that's okay. Ed, what keeps you coming back to Toastmasters?
I guess I'm a little different than everybody else. I'm just in it for the money. I just got elected to be a club officer, and I can't wait to see the kind of raise I get. I mean, it's going to be terrific. I'm just looking forward to it. And you mentioned visiting other clubs. That's another way to just like double my income, I guess. So it's going to be awesome. I could just do the different clubs online. But no, seriously though, it's community. We have a lot of fun, and the best learning happens when you're having fun while you're doing it. And we managed to have fun while we're doing it, and you really can't accept feedback from people unless you're buddies and friends. Otherwise, you get offended and stuff. So, like I said, I think we're a fun club. It's very friendly, and we all get along. And except for the people I offend sometimes, I guess. I don't know. I'm kidding, but I have a sense of humor. One thing I tell our club is always give 100%, unless you're giving blood. Then you can give a little bit less. So.
Very good. Good advice. I had never thought of that, but I've never given blood, so it hasn't been an issue. Graham, what keeps you coming back to Toastmasters?
When I started many years ago, I really struggled when I got up to speak in public. It was a terrifying experience for me. And the first couple of years I improved, I got better. And I'd seen a lot of people who, they got involved for a couple of years and they did get better, but then they left. And I thought I owe it to try to help other people who were coming in, who were newcomers, but also it's kind of the old saying of Toastmasters is like bathing, right? Like you can't just do it once and think you're done. You got to do it a lot and keep doing it to get better. And it goes back, I guess, to the quote I gave a few minutes ago about my definition of success is doing your best. And Toastmasters, I didn't want to give up. If I had given it up, I thought I might have given up that mantra of trying to be my best.
Thank you. That's an excellent answer, which reminds me of one of my favorite quotes. It's actually by Tiger Woods. He said, no matter how good you are, you can always get better. And I truly believe that. Even when you think about every single record that's been made in the Olympics, it was it broke the previous record, and people continue to do things that we never thought could be done. So always thinking about continuous improvement and always getting better. And we can't do anything alone, right? So our fellow Toastmasters are so valuable to us. I'm curious, what is up next? I know Graham's not going to Disneyland. Graham, what do you have? What are your goals for the upcoming year?
Well, I was fortunate enough to write my first book last year. That's how I spent some of the pandemic. And I have my second one coming out in October. So my hope is that the finished product will be a good one that represents the story well. And I'll be spending a lot of the time in the fall marketing the book.
And what is your book about?
My first book was about Butler University, where I work, and the back-to-back Final Fours that Butler attained in men's basketball in 2010 and 2011, and how that impacted the university. The second book is on 4 other college basketball programs: Villanova, Gonzaga, Davidson, and Loyola of Chicago, and how they've been, in my estimation, college basketball programs that have done things the right way and that have won in a college basketball world that's not always cloaked with integrity.
Interesting. I'm sure that will be a very interesting read. Okay, and next, Ed, what's up for you coming up?
I'm trying to get back into shape. I would like to run a half marathon in the fall, and because I had some health issues. I guess I was going to say I had health issues, but I guess go ahead and tell you I was out walking. I got hit by a truck. So believe it or not, when you're older, that it takes a lot coming back from that. That put a big dent in the truck, but just broke a couple ribs, and wasn't like. But then COVID hit, and then I got sick, and then it was a hard time recovering. But now I'm finally at the point where I lost 20 pounds. And I can actually approach some of the times I did 3-4 years ago, which is the best you could hope for. And so that's one of my goals. Of course, I'm working on making the book I wrote be something that's good. And as I guess Graham could probably attest to, that when you write your first draft and you put it down and you pick it up again, you have this, if you're like me anyway, you have this feeling of shock where you're like, oh my gosh, I thought this was awesome. And it's not. And it's hard to get into the edit. I love to write, but it's hard to edit, and it's hard to get into that phase. And I'm working through that right now personally. I got 2 kids in college, and working on getting out the nest, 11-year-old. So busy life. So a lot of my goals right now is just supporting everybody else. So.
Well, I love it that you have a connection here with Graham on the writing and a connection with Cheri on the running. That's amazing. That's another thing, you know, here's some new friends that if you don't know each other already, that you can tap into to help you. Marti, what's up for you?
Well, I won't be running and I won't be writing a book. I might be reading some. I've got a stack beside my bed of things that I need to read. And I just earned my certified digital marketing professional certification. So I'm looking forward to putting that to good use in my career.
Excellent. Randy, what's up for you?
Well, I'm going to be writing a book on how to make toast. Actually,
That will be a New York Times bestseller within the first 2 hours.
I'm going to start developing frog gigs that I can sell for making toast on an open fire. Oh gosh, what is for the year? I haven't really set any goals, to be honest with you. It's I would like to get back on my bike and start riding again. I miss that. When I moved to Greenwood, you could ride the country roads and not worry about getting hit. But now with all the digital distraction, I don't dare take it out anywhere because I've seen the bikers in India and different places that have gotten hit. But I bought a newer SUV that's got the hitch on it, so I can put the bike on back of that thing and go to a park and ride it again. So that would probably be my goal for this coming year, is to get back on the bike again.
Okay, excellent. And Cheri, what's coming up for you?
Well, I'm not sure what's coming up, but a goal, a few goals that I have. I would like to do another half marathon, and maybe in the distant future, my bucket list item has always been the Boston Marathon. So I would need to qualify for it. So I have to do 2 more marathons in order to do that. So maybe that's in my future. I'm also hoping to start a podcast this year and have taken a course to prepare me for that. And I'm really inspired by these 2 book writers. I wouldn't admit that I want to write a book, but that is one of the things that I had planned to do starting in January, but it's kind of on hold for a while. But that is something that I'm hoping to do as well.
Excellent, excellent. And Paul, what goals do you have for this year?
I guess that's the common theme here, is that we're runners and book writers. I did 2 books from that challenge of 2013. And so with this next challenge, I'm actually have another book that I'm working on. So, yep. So with that new challenge, new book. So again, we got a great running team, I think, going on here and stuff, and a coach that could cheer us on, I guess.
Excellent. Yeah, so you're right. A lot of similarities here. I'm an ex-runner. My knees won't let me run anymore, but I am a current book attempter writer in addition. So I got that going for me, and in connection with you also. I say we should have a challenge to get our books completed. That's it. I think Graham's going to win.
And I do want to say is that if she gets to Boston, it's a great race. I've done it 3 times, and it's a wonderful experience.
Yeah, my daughter has done it too. I was there to watch her, but I didn't run with her.
Excellent. So I have a question. Have you guys met each other before? Well, I would strongly encourage you to put your information in the chat so that you can contact each other and really make best use of the connection of your similarities. And and do that. Well, thank you very much. We do have the contest results, and it's time to announce the winner. In third place, the judges have decided the third place winner is, drum roll please, Cheri Hampton-Farmer. Let's give her a applause. And now coming in second place, the judges. Randy Goodin. Let's give him a big round of applause. And the first place winner is.
Oh, give me a second. Let me get Randy's picture.
The secret
How
is
pretty.
out. The
Smile
first
pretty,
place-
Randy.
The first place winner is Graham. Congratulations. Awesome job. And I just thank you so much for being in the contest. I want to also thank all the dignitaries and their role, the judges, the timers, the Zoom masters doing an amazing job, and the ballot counters. We all couldn't do this without you and the contestants. Great, great job. Thank you so much. Don't forget, tomorrow night, it's amazing, or tomorrow day, it's amazing day, and the International Speech Contest ends it all. Okay, thank you and good night.